Welcome back everyone to the second and final round of the Kislev Toto. We have Jeffrey, the referee, who says things are a go-go here in a slightly more upbeat, lighter location here with, I believe it's the Dead Forests of the Vampire Counts territory that we randomly roll on this one. We've got a lovely marsh there filled with lots of eerie, undead kind of spookiness over there on the right. But what we're more concerned about here are our two generals, our forces led by the Kislev generals Boris Ursus and Kostaltyn. This will be Kostaltyn's first round in the tournament. Kostaltyn himself is known as a patriarch. No idea what that really entails, but if we have a look at the front line of both sides here, we have his Streltsy making up the front line. Skirmishers here alongside a unit of armoured Kossars with great weapons who we saw last time, although we can see them in slightly better lighting here, and they've got some lovely armour and weapon details going on. He has another unit of armoured Kossars with great weapons, a unit of armoured Kossars, standard shield boys, axes, pistols, even got Kislev written on the back of the shields. He also has a unit of winged lancers. I believe there's a couple of units of winged lancers, yes. Now these are like mid-tier cavalry. They're not as good as the Griffin Legion, but they still do a pretty decent job. He's also brought his own snow leopard to the fight, and he has a unit of horse archers. Now across the way, Boris Ursus and his force of defenders, as that's the role that he rolled in this particular battle. He has a unit of Streltsy just stood in the mire there. A unit of armoured Kossars, another unit of armoured Kossars, a unit of armoured Kossars again, another Streltsy with his own horse archers at the back. Boris has also brought his own wing lancers and a snow leopard. Boris this time is, much like Kostaltyn, he has chosen to fight his opponent on foot. We'll see where this goes now. As the fight kicks off now, obviously, this is all going to go down to Kostaltyn having to make the initial moves, as both sides are going to have to get into a nice little fighting position here. You can see crossing this terrain, probably not the easiest terrain to cross, which slows down his troops a bit. Boris is reorganizing his line, as you can see there. Try and counteract the moves being made. A very rapid approach there. Horse archers getting the first volley off. Light damage, doesn't look like they caused any casualties here to the Streltsy, but that's going to mount up over time. They don't have an angle to be able to return fire. If we get down to their level, we can see that they're firing over a hill there, which the Streltsy need a direct line of sight before they can do any damage. The Snow Leopard is under fire, though. It's taking a little bit of damage. Nothing that it's really going to feel too much, and that's going to cause the Streltsy to alter their positioning, which is bad for them because the Streltsy of Kostaltyn are now returning fire. And it looks like the skirmish line has been set. We are getting into the main fight. Oh, that's an interesting development over here on the right flank of Kostaltyn, as his two units of winged lancers are setting up for the flanking charge, and the horse archers aren't doing anything. They're focused entirely on the fight against the armoured Kossars. Both armoured Kossar units taking some casualties here from the exchange fire. Kostaltyn, he's a mad lad. He's just charging straight forward here. He's going right in. He's going to go straight into those armoured Kossars on his own, with no support. Well, he's going to be charged by the winged Hussars. There's just a pool of blood of where he's been shot so many times, but he's still standing. That FOD of his is quite resistant to damage. Oh, a unit of armoured Kossars gets slammed by the Snow Leopard, but the Snow Leopard of Kostaltyn over on the flank there. And we can see that the winged Hussars have, yes, they've done the right thing. They have smashed into that Streltsy and taken quite a few of his number down. Already that Streltsy squad is going to break eventually. There can't be much holding them together. The horse archers aren't really equipped for melee combat, so they're also going to be having a bit of a yeah, as it says in melee, losing decisively is a good way of putting it. Kostaltyn in the middle of it all. He is surrounded by a unit of winged lancers there. I'm not quite sure. Apparently they're on fire. I guess that's because of the burning brazier that he uses as a melee weapon. He's getting stabbed, poked a lot, but he's not dead yet. Boris was briefly involved in the fight against the Snow Leopard, but has decided to reorganize. It looks like he's just getting the word down the line there. You know, lads, get stuck in. What are you doing? What are you just stood here for? This is one of the weird things with the Kislev forces. is that because of the hybrid kind of nature of their armies, like since virtually every melee unit also has a ranged capability to them, it means that they can be a little trickier to use because you have to kind of weigh up whether you want your troops to go in straight into the melee or whether you want your troops to, you know, stand and fire for a bit, which against some enemies works well, against others it's a bit of a detriment. And as we can see here, when the AI is given the ability to use this kind of hybridization of warfare, it gets a little bit stuck, a little bit in its head. I mean, like this unit of armoured Cossars, for instance, why they aren't getting stuck in and attacking the rear of the Lancers, we don't know. They're just going to stand there. And as we can see, the whole time we've been looking at them, they haven't fired yet. Now, presumably they have a target that they're waiting to shoot at. But for whatever reason, it's causing them a big old hiccup. And in the meantime, they are losing people. They're getting shot in return. And we're just... Oh, here we go. They might be... There we go. But that's one of the issues I'm talking about here, and this is what's really going to cause a lot of casualties. We can see that Boris's Snow Leopard has gotten up behind the Horse Archers and is just, well, literally just tearing through them. There's not much they'll be able to do, though the Snow Leopard has taken about 50% of its hit points. Now, Kostaltyn's Snow Leopard has really held its own. It's been doing well over on that side. Wing Lancers of Boris seem to be retreating to reorganise, but Boris is still here, right in the middle of it all. He's not one likely to break. He's got a lot of melee-focused abilities. He can buff himself. He can buff his army of any troops nearby as we get stuck in. He is just looking for a target. We're going to wait for him to do his first big swing here. We're waiting for it. Oh, and oh, big hit on the winged, and he kills that. As you can see, that winged hussar just dropped. As that's the kind of leader he is. This is a hell of a scrum compared to the first round of the Kislev round, where Zarina's forces were just completely torn apart by Boris here. We're seeing a much more equal, bloody battle. This central section, or well, I guess more like the right flank, left flank kind of situation. There's just bodies, just so many bodies piled up on top of each other at this point. As it's just become a chaotic melee. But we can see that from the top bar here, it's, you know, it could still go either way. It's quite balanced. We can see that there's still this issue in the rear of Kostaltyn's force. The Snow Leopard, although it's lost a lot of hit points, it's still causing a lot of damage. It's charging in on the Streltsy. It's killing more of the Streltsy. The Horse Archers that it was attacking, they've regrouped, but a charge from that won't take long. This is an unusual development over here as well. We have a unit of Kostaltyn's armed Kossars stood next to a unit of Boris's armoured Kossars, and neither of them seem to want to get involved and fight each other, which is a bizarre situation. I'm not quite sure what the AI is doing. If anyone from Creative Assembly were to look at this, I think this is something that needs fixing, or at least some kind of priority needs to be given, like maybe a proximity trigger that might force Kislev units to switch from their, you know, fire at will with their ranged weapons to, you know, get stuck into the melee, because this was bizarre. Also, they're not doing anything. They are just stood there. They're tired, and apparently the target they're trying to fire at is obstructed, so they won't shoot. Despite the fact that there's a perfectly valid target right next to them for quite a while. Now, we can see that the melee battle is starting. It has started to swing in favour of Kostaltyn, but the enemy troop count is still virtually equal, 196 to 192. Boris is gone crazy. He's killing everything around him. He's dislodging teeth and stuff from his beard. He's chasing those wing lancers down, but Kostaltyn somehow, that mad balding bearded boy is still going. Oh, there we go. Their target was briefly unobstructed, so they took a shot, but why they aren't shooting them in the back, I don't know. Why these Streltsy aren't doing anything either. It's a mystery. And here comes the Snow Leopard. Right, right in the middle. It just sent them flying, and the two winged hussars crashing into each other. That, sorry, the winged lancers just crashing into each other. That was a hell of a visual. And now we've got these armoured Kossars that they're going to try and do something. Apparently they're unbreakable due to army losses. So they're all just going to die to a man now, apparently. We've got the big fight over here now as Kostaltyn and Boris swinging at each other, trying to maybe get some measure of revenge. Because Boris is definitely on the losing side of this now. He has sub 100 men remaining. Kostaltyn looks like he is going to go forward. Boris swinging like a mad drunk, missing Kostaltyn by a clear mile. And that's it. That is it. It's a Pyrrhic victory for Kostaltyn's forces. And we got to see the stats on this one. This fight was all over the shop, but we can see that both sides were still relatively even in their size. We can see that Kostaltyn's force, he got 52. His armoured Kossars got 52. One of his armoured Kossars with great weapons didn't do great, 11, but the other one really made up for it, 77. His Streltsy got 44. His 2 winged lancers, between them, got over 100 men. The horse archers, 26, and the snow leopard, 53. But not taking it away from Boris's force, 89 on his own, 61 from one of his armoured Kossars. His others between 28 and 30. Streltsy killed 46. His second unit Streltsy, this is really the weak spot here. His Streltsy and his horse archers really did bad because they were on the flank that got hit by the 2 winged lancers on Kostaltyn's side, and they just got rolled up very quickly. Again, strange decisions by the AI, not doing anything to kind of counter that flank or even shoot at those wing lancers before they could charge in. They stood there and they got hit in the flanks and were rolled up very quickly. It still could have gone either way. It could have very easily sort of pushed in the way of the defenders there, as we can see by the remaining men. I mean, from 2 armies that started at over 500, both are down to, sub 200, so it's considerable losses on both sides. A Pyrrhic victory for sure, but a victory nonetheless, as Kostaltyn will be going through into the grand tournament of the old world. So yeah, it was a hell of a fight, and probably one of the best ones I think I've seen on Toto, to be fair. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where we go next. So thank you for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this. I'm enjoying the series. It's creating some interesting scenarios here, and I'll catch you all next time. Have a good one. Bye bye.